that's where I give like the biggest shout out to PowerISA because that whole entire process of learning real estate, how it works, the process of building a foundation in our industry was taken care of for me, which then allowed us to have a little bit quicker results because I could hop in and use a little bit more of like my scripting and coaching expertise and mindset of like, hey, here's how it works in Omaha. This is how our team scripts. This is the difference between theirs and ours and what we do to convert a little bit quicker. And so we've been in about 4 months, 4.5 months in total full time with one ISA, and we've done 4 pieces of business thus far.
All right, folks. I got a great conversation here for today. We have Will May out of Omaha, and he's here to talk about the results he's gotten and the overall experience working with an ISA on his team from Power ISA. But before we get into that, Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us what you do, tell us about your market, how long you've been in the business, and why was ISA a strategy you selected?
Yeah. So I've been in the business for since 2015. So I'm coming up next year on 10 years being in real estate. I spent 4.5 years in sales in Huntington Beach, California. And I was a big door knocker there. So we built a number two team in our office at a Keller Williams office in Huntington Beach, California, just through door knocking and farming. I knocked on 62,000 doors in 4 years. So lead generation.
Wow.
Yep, lead generation is my background. I love cold lead generation and developing relationships through that.
Love it.
So I did that and then moved back to Omaha. That's where my family's from. I have two little boys, myself, and then my partner now, who we run the business together. Ashley has a little one, so we have a blended family. But before we started working together, I ran the brokerage here for 4 years. And we built a really great culture in the brokerage on skill sets and development. And that's where I got my coaching background and, fell in love with the coaching side of real estate. So with us kind of combining businesses this year, Ashley's our top agent in our office. And she started, as I coached her, she started building out her team over the past couple of years. And as we kind of got to this year, it didn't make sense for our family goals and what we've been doing to have two separate businesses. So us working together this year, I came in to coach, develop, help run the business and build the lead generation department. And she's still actively in the business and trying to split time working on the business at the same time. So that's kind of like a short synopsis of how we got to where we're at today in terms of business structure.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And you're coming from a background where you're not afraid to talk to people you don't know. You literally were knocking on doors in California, which is, hey, mad respect for that, right? 100%. There's a lot of
Thanks.
people, not everyone appreciates a knock on the door sometimes, but that's a way to start conversations. Like you
Yeah.
found a way that was highly scalable. Like, how many doors you want to knock? Literally, how much time do you have in the day, to
Yeah.
talk to as many people as you wanted to? You found a way to start conversations. When you go to Omaha, you change roles a little bit. Why ISA? Why cold calling? Was that just a natural progression from door knocking, farming to picking up the phone? How did you get to that, lead generation strategy? And then why ISA on top of that?
Yeah, so to give you a little bit more context, so when I was running the brokerage side of things, obviously I was out of lead generation and sales for a little while and more in coaching. When I stepped into running the business with Ashley and her still being in sales, I was very focused on lead funnels. And so I've coached too, and our team is very heavy database. So as most top
Love it.
teams and agents that are in most markets, we really focus on our database as our main lead generation source. My focus coming in to help us get to where we want to go, we've done about 145 units this year. We'll probably end the year around 150 to 160. For us to
Perfect.
get to where we want to go, which is 225 next year, and then a longer term goal of 500, I knew we needed another lead funnel. And for me, that cold lead generation and creating a listing process where every listing that we put on the market, we can do another deal out of in the next 6 to 12 months was what we knew we wanted to create. We didn't know how hard at times it would be. But I knew we needed a separate lead funnel that we could essentially like push the pedal down and up at times
Got it.
with efforts and dollars in order to help us get to our next goals.
I got you guys. So that's kind of okay, great. That's a really strategic way to look at it. I don't want, I don't want to badmouth anyone in the industry. Agents don't really think that way. Like, hey,
No.
I want to add a new lever to my business. I've got database covered. How do I add one that doesn't, already do what I already do, something new, talking to people I don't know? And that's how you added it. And so, I mean, number one, kudos for that. And then that usually is not the way. People usually stumble into it out of desperation.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, you're coming from a coaching background. You looked at it as like a business planning exercise. It makes sense. So you
And
decide to get an ISA, and how does that process work out?
yeah, and to before we go straight now, I think the second thing for us from a like as we looked at where we wanted to go with the team, we have 6 selling agents. If we from a retention standpoint, fast forwarding a year, 2 years from now, most teams nowadays are built on leads, right? Personality or leads. Personality being mentorship. And your top agents generally will outgrow that team relatively quick because you don't need mentorship after a certain point. And the second, quick way where teams set up their structure is off of leads. And your top earners will eventually realize they can buy their own leads. So if we can get to a point where through our ISA and lead gen department, we're setting appointments for our people instead of giving them leads to work, we knew that that was a really great retention plan where we could control the unit outcome in terms of us having to recruit agents all the time and keep them loyal. Not that our people aren't loyal. I love our team 100%, but at some point we have to be able to control the units more than the people and their behaviors.
Yeah, 100%, and agree with that. Just thinking about what is your value proposition to your agents, right? Like you said,
That's right.
the coaching, the training can get you there. That's important. Can only get you so much. What else are you doing for me? How are you adding value to help me grow my business? That's the game. Of any,
That's right.
people, team leaders watching this will know, will empathize. It is a challenge. It's not easy to do. Like you said, if you're just buying leads for them, okay, well, they can buy leads from anybody.
Yeah.
They can buy leads from the same place you're buying them from. Let's
Yes.
be honest. You can do the exact same thing. What else are you doing for them to help them
That's
grow the
right.
business? I love that. So you've got this strategy. You want to add this new lead funnel. You want to do it, not just your own database, something new, something different, something distinct. You can scale up. How does ISA come into that picture?
Yep. So we knew our second lead funnel was going to be listing based, and had to be something geographic because we had a pretty strong stance that we weren't going to go buy Zillow and Realtor.com leads now. That might change down the road. But we knew we wanted to be listing heavy, and the best, in my opinion, like teams are going to probably do best moving forward as a whole, just because of systems and operations if we build that side out. But if you're geographically based, that's something that technology can't necessarily take away too quickly. If that makes to us, that's our mindset, right?
Build
I
a
know
moat. Got to build a moat.
tech can do a lot of things, but you can't, talk face to face. So if we're geographically known, that was kind of the strategy that we wanted to take. Door knocking is a little bit different here than in Huntington Beach because it gets a little cold here, and there I had great weather all the time.
100%.
So the ISAs made sense because if we can circle dial and have a listing process of we call this many homes to tell them for about the house coming soon. If we call the same homes and invite them to the open house, and then call them after it closes, we have 3 touches in a neighborhood where they've seen us now take the listing, put it active, and do a good job of marketing it and selling it. They're seeing the whole process throughout that listing process. Has it worked? Yes. Have that listing process kind of changed a little bit? 100%. But our goal long term is every time we have a listing, we have enough leads that will convert one of them to a deal within the next 6 to 12 months.
I love that because I wish more agents thought about it that way. Every single listing should generate 1 or 2 more pieces of business on the buy side and the list side, right? And this is
Yeah.
coming I think it's coming from MREA, like directly from there, saying every piece of business, you've got to maximize it to generate the traffic, generate the attention, generate the conversations to get that additional listing and even an additional buyer right off of that. So why circle? Like circle prospect usually is like the last thing people want to do. You guys, it seems like you guys went right after that. Why was circle prospecting so attractive to you guys?
I have it partially because I have experience with the door knocking side of things.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And so that was part of it, but also like everybody, not that any your lead generators are going after FSBOs and expireds.
Yeah.
Um,
The shark. It's a shark tank. Everyone wants to grab those, right?
Yeah, they want to go quick and we'll get into those and we'll start lead generating those sources as well. But I know that when if we can perfect follow up and make this like a process of when we meet somebody to when we put their house on the market, the reason people will pay for leads is because they don't have to do the follow up. These people are ready today. We took a long term approach saying we want to build out a lead generation department and process that we can identify and work it for 12 to 24 months and then create more listings. I think that like our main thing was we want to catch them before anybody else does, and we'll do the hard work of developing a follow up process, and then help with you guys training our ISAs to learn how to follow up so that we have a full pipeline, instead of trying to, like you said, be desperate and go buy some leads somewhere so we can get some closings.
Yeah, I love that because that long-term approach is like you mentioned, like what can software do really well? What can software is really good at identifying that bottom of funnel lead, right? Because you're giving
Yeah.
it's the internet is good at identifying those. Those are great. And that's why they're adequately priced at 40% of the bottom line, right? That's why they cost
Yes.
that much because the internet is really good at that. The thing the web is not that good at, that Zillow's not that good at, Redfin's not that, and these other companies is going from the high, a top of funnel person and bringing them all the way down. They're
Yeah.
not that good at that, right? They're not that good at that. Those leads are adequately priced at about $1 or $5 a piece because that is a much different process. And in process, a lot of agents don't know how to do well. They
Yeah.
avoid it, right? And they don't have that superpower. They don't have that skill set of just get me people that are interested, get me people that I have a conversation with, and I'll take them along the journey of top of funnel, dreaming phase, all the way down to the transacting phase. And so I'm loving everything you're saying. Well, I'm like, holy
Yeah.
cow, this is a really well thought out process. What have been the results? What have you
Yeah.
guys? So you went into it with this plan, a really well made plan. Kudos to you guys. A strategy. You hired PowerISA. We helped you get that ISA in place. What have been the results so far?
Well, I mean, listen, we expected nothing in the first 6 months. So I think we talked about this a little before. Like we came into it understanding we wanted to build a pipe, just like we do with our agents, right? We want to build a pipeline and create some consistency instead of like going and trying to buy one or two here. So we didn't expect anything in the first 6 months. And that's been like the biggest surprise thus far because I'm just thinking, hey, I got to help train somebody to learn the real estate industry. I have to help them learn how to converse, and then I have to figure out how to hand off in the right way because they're not going to be the ones transacting or servicing those appointments. So, with that being said, that's where I give like the biggest shout out to Power ISA because that whole entire process of learning real estate, how it works, the process of building a foundation in our industry was taken care of for me, which then allowed us to have a little bit quicker results because I could hop in and use a little bit more of like my scripting and coaching expertise and mindset of like, hey, here's how it works in Omaha. This is how our team scripts. This is the difference between theirs and ours and what we do to convert a little bit quicker. And so we've been in about 4 months, 4.5 months in total full time with one ISA, and we've done 4 pieces of business thus far.
I love that. And from Circle,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are, that's typically, the lower converting of the because people want to jump into Fizbo and expired, and you're right, you're jumping
Yeah.
into the Shark Tank, you're jumping into the most competitive piece of it. You guys took a more, long-term approach. Took a more systemic approach and said, you know what, we're going to take our existing listings, we're going to multiply the outcomes of those, right? Generate conversations of our own business, right?
Yep.
And that would typically, you're right, that would typically take you 6 months and maybe
Yep.
more to start seeing the ROI.
Well,
But based on those conversations, you guys generated business right away.
yeah, and I will say, so part of our listing process, we do Facebook leads that are like really through our CRM. So they're not so much like hot Zillow or Realtor.com leads. I'm getting leads back at about $8 a piece. So these are longer term leads, and so they've been half and half. They've been half those like Facebook cold leads that I'm getting back at about $8 a piece, and the other two were simply cold calls in the area.
Yeah. Yeah. So and Facebook is probably the internet version of top of funnel, like very top of funnel, starting the
Exactly. Yep.
conversation, and so it's half and half. So a couple of from the Facebook leads, top of funnel Facebook, and then top of funnel, Circle prospect. Just generating those conversations at a very low cost. You're generating conversations at a really efficient cost,
Yeah.
and your team is taking it from there. So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned a really important part of this, which is the handoff. And the
Mm.
fact that you even knew that was a big problem to solve is impressive. How have you guys managed that handoff from ISA to agent? What do you have a specific criteria the lead has to meet? Is it when they're ready to meet face to face? What does that handoff look like for you guys? It's been very successful so far.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. The biggest thing was not being too demanding. We took somebody that we chose our ISA based off of character and ability to learn, had no real estate experience. So I took the
Love that.
first. Yep. If we knew we felt like loyal work ethic was there and alignments, values aligned, that's what we chose off of, and that's how we hired to our team. So we stuck to that part. So the first 3 months was about not being too demanding. So all I wanted in the first 3 months was lead identification. Identify a lead, whether it's now to 2 years out, and hand off immediately. And that was just setting a phone call. And then over the past probably 30 to 60 days, now we've started to develop like working on follow up. Okay, now that we're able to identify a lead and schedule more of like a phone meeting so that our agents could pre qualify, now we're teaching her what pre-qualifying questions to ask so that we can set face to face. So I would say we're right in the middle of that trend, that initial like I guess level 1 to level 2, right? We're in the middle of that transition where probably half the stuff she sends us now or sends me now is an appointment in person set. Half of it's still hey, get on the phone with them. I couldn't understand completely if we're the right team to help them or if they're super motivated or not. And then that'll be a phone call.
I got it. I love it. And I love the way you laid it out because I think that first part, lead identification, that's where it begins. Like, are we even in agreement? Do you guys even agree that this is a lead? This is someone that needs to be followed up with? Can it become an appointment? Can it become, a signed piece of business? That's the first problem you got to focus on. Because that might even so. I love that you brought someone in that's talented and you taught them real estate. Even if they've done real estate before, you got to make sure, you got to make clear that that criteria is there and it's open and everyone understands it because everything
Yeah.
comes off of that. Either the agent
Yes.
nurtures them to appointment, or then you're getting your ISA to nurture them into appointment, which is even better. But yeah, it starts there. It starts there 100%. And for some of these more advanced lead sources, I always tell agents, even if they're calling expired or FISBO, which are more harder to convert, more advanced, I tell them your ISA, when it's a more combative kind of a seller, a difficult seller to deal with, your ISA only does lead identification. That's really what they
Yes.
should only do. You don't want to have them duke it out with a really angry expired listing or really combative FISBO seller. No, no, no. They should identify if they're a lead for you, and then they should hand them off right away. I don't think that actually changes.
Exactly.
But I love the fact you guys are even having your ISA because it adds the most value. If your ISA can help with that nurturing and conversion process, holy cow. That's, like you said, you're trying to add value to your team. You're trying to help them, retain them and add a ton of value to their life. That helps a ton. Well, so this has been an awesome conversation. If someone out there is considering hiring an ISA, working with PowerISA, what will you say to them if they're watching this and they're kind of on the fence on this?
Yeah, I would just say like take an approach. Like the coaching's been phenomenal in terms of like like the biggest thing is daily communication with the ISA. So that's off of my plate, which team owners know like that we don't have a lot of time and we get hit from every different area, right? So for Ashley and I both leading the team together, that's two of us leading a team. So a lot of team leaders are by themselves. And I know that we have very little time doing what we're doing, whether it's helping with transactions, coaching, development, working on the business, creating, revenue. That's what we're supposed to be doing. PowerISA has been amazing at helping me take the day to day, like this is what you need to be doing off of my plate and
I
encouragement and motivation. So I think like that would be like my biggest like help from them. And then obviously the coaching and development and scripting has been helpful too. But do it. Like this is the time to go out and build your business. We're in winter, number one. So like get your butt off the fence. Number two, come at this with a long-term approach instead of saying, I need to pay this company and they need to give me back leads tomorrow. I made sure that our ISA was extremely comfortable failing. Go fail as much as humanly possible and then give me feedback and then we can go and get better every single day. I just want to know you're going to be here, you're happy, and we'll continue developing.
I love that. I love that. Well, now based on this conversation, it doesn't surprise me that you're successful because you got a lot of the right building blocks. When we're working with someone, like you, with like your team, it's all about finding the right person because you're plugging
Yes.
them into a system that has been thought through. You know that it works. You know prospecting works. You understand it. It's just finding the right person to plug them into a system works, right? And that's where you can
Yes.
have those big outcomes because you're plugging in a talented person into a working lead generation system. Will,
Well, and
thank you so much, man. Oh,
if you don't have that system put together, you guys have helped us
yeah,
create the process, right? Like you don't have to have it done either. We started from scratch. Like I know I'm going to run into some roadblocks here, but getting processes back and getting stuff back from PowerISA, like okay, perfect. Now I can plug and play if necessary, or like we're about to bring on our second one because now we do have a process built that we did with you guys. So like for
yeah.
me, I'm grateful for that.
100%, and it scales, right? It scales. Once you figure out that outbound prospect, like if every ISA can get you 12 additional transactions, 12, 15, 16, 18, add more ISAs like that, cover more areas. You're calling your
Huge.
listings, call the brokerage's listings, calls every other person's listing. So,
Yep.
it's a you have the potential here to build a really, really strong lead generation department. But
Thank
it
you.
starts with having that vision, like having the strategy and then, and executing. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I look forward to, having this in the next 6 months when you have a little ISA department going
Yeah.
on for you guys. And we'll talk about that. So appreciate you, Will. Thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you. Yep.